dying embers of human existence, as the asteroid, a behemoth the size of Texas, hurtles relentlessly toward Earth, the world braces for an apocalyptic end. Deep beneath the bunker, a refuge plunges into the bowels of the Earth. Here the chosen gather, their purpose clear, to preserve the very soul of our civilization. The 35 and 70mm prints that encapsulate the magic, the emotion, and the dreams of generations past. These masterpieces, each frame a testament to the human spirit, are carefully cataloged and cradled in the cavernous confines of the bunker. Perhaps there was room for more, for friends and family yearning for salvation, but sacrifices must be made. The movie nerds stand united, the keepers of a flame, promising a future where the art of storytelling endures, transcending the boundaries of time and space. God help us all.
And welcome everyone, welcome to the 100th episode, the tremendous event
known as the 100th centennial episode of Back to the Frame Rate. And how can we possibly have a 100th episode of Back to the Frame Rate if we do not have the impressive line of hosts? I shall introduce you. Here we have, they said, none other than B. Butterworth. Yes. And sitting to her left, how can this panel be complete without the one and only Sam Cole, everybody? And yes, the heart and soul of Back to the Frame Rate is none other than Nathan Sir, everybody. But yet, we're not finished yet, folks, because tonight we do have a very special guest. As I said, none other than the one and only, one of those greatest comedians that is just waiting for the break, the big break, the special moment of which he will be made immortal, none other than Dan Martin. Yes.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the break so I can go to the bathroom.
Well, thank you everyone for coming out tonight. And first, I just want to thank the Art and Innovation Center for being the host for our 100th episode. I have to watch our feedback tonight. By the way, I just want to say this is an amazing space that is all about creativity, inspiring people for the town of Weston. So if you have a great idea, if you want to explore, learn valuable skills, this is the place to come for that. I also want to take a moment and acknowledge, Weston Media Center. Yes, I am the director, but also we've got a great team here. Joey, Peter are here from the Weston Media Center. They're a fantastic group of people to work with, but they are the ones that, myself as well, but, Weston Media Center is the media hub for the town of Weston. And it's been a pleasure working here for the last 11 years. So we are, we invite people from the town in the area to collaborate with us to create things like podcasts or TV shows. So reach out to me and, we'd love to talk to you about creating content with Weston Media. So anyways, thank you for coming out on a cold Friday night. I know there's a lot going on in the world, but I think we're gonna have a good time tonight. What I just wanna say as well, first of all, thank you, Brian, for being our Don LaFontaine over the past year, as I like to put it.
Twernt nothing.
And I want to thank Dan Martin for joining us. And you were a guest a while ago on our early days of our podcast.
Yeah, we talked about Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
That was a lot of fun.
The PETA commercial. That was Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
And of course, my co-host, who have been on this journey with me for the past 2 years. B, I know you stepped in about 15 months ago, and one of our original hosts, Ellie Escobar, who's I thought was going to be here tonight, but hopefully she will show up, but we'll see. But the four of us have been with this podcast for 2 years, which leads me. Some of you already know as well, but this is going to be our final episode, as of now. Never say never, but right now we are stepping away from the mic to pursue other creative endeavors, which I think is a good thing because we've done that. 100 episodes, that's pretty cool. 2 years, 100 episodes. Most podcasts only go like 7, 10 episodes, and Podfade sets in. So I feel like this is a victory that we've come this far. Yeah. And we've watched some damn good movies too. So
a lot of them.
So I think that's basically what I wanted to talk about. So I just want to also thank all of the listeners and people that have supported our show over the past 2 years as well. So that's really it. I don't really have anything else. I think, we can begin the movie. Anything you guys have to say? But no? We're good? That's all. I just want to thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight.
Yeah.
It's already 6:43, and according to our schedule that I like to be a stickler with, it is time to begin the film.
Woo.
Anything before we begin you guys want to say?
Thanks for being here. I love this movie.
To infinity and beyond. I think that's.
We're
What
on
movie are we
schedule. That's
watching?
impressive.
Yeah.
It's actually not 6:45 yet, and we're actually going to start it at 6.
We are gonna
That's
start on
amazing.
time?
Yeah.
We have 2 minutes left according to this.
2 minutes is
You
all I
You have a
need.
joke, Dan?
Huh?
You have a joke?
No.
Like, okay.
That's all you're getting. You paid me in peanut M&Ms. So that's me.
All right.
I'm probably going to need insulin in like 10 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
If I pee, I'll probably pass out. So I'm gonna hold.
Oh,
on.
all right.
Yeah.
We don't want that. All right, we need it for later. All right, let's take a break, walk away, start this film. It's an hour and 37 minutes, and stick around, and we are going to come back. The most important thing is we would love for you to be part of this podcast. This is our last episode, so having audience participation as part of this. We don't want to be here talking about the movie, just the four of us. We want you guys to ask us questions, bring your comments and questions, whatever you want to do. Stand up, have fun with us. Let's go out, have a great time tonight. That's the most important thing. All right? All right, cool. All right. Woohoo. Woo. Welcome to Back to the Frame Rate, part of the Weston Media Podcast Network. In this cinematic crusade, we journey through films on VOD and streaming platforms, deciding their fate, salvation in our vault of legends, or eternal banishment to the flames of the coming asteroid apocalypse. You can find all episodes of our show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app, or find us on social media, Back to the Frame Rate. I'm Nathan Shore, and accompanying me are the extraordinary movie mavens Brianna Butterworth, Sam Cole, and our special guest tonight, Dan Martin.
Hi.
So, hello, everyone.
Hello.
Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you for inviting me to your bowels.
Well, we're happy to have you. So this is our live show. We just watched Galaxy Quest from 1999. This is really exciting, and as I mentioned earlier this evening, our final show.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
this
it
is how
just
we
dawned
end it.
on me that all of the words for digging deep into something are bowels and anals.
Yeah. It's how it is.
Yeah, it's gross.
Well, we just watched this movie. Thanks everyone for sticking around. And what we want to do here tonight, we often talk about the movies that we watched this past week. We watched it tonight. We don't want to just talk just amongst ourselves. We want our audience to get involved in this. But first, I'm not going to get into plot synopsis and what I normally do, box office, who directed this, all that. Let's just share our initial thoughts on this movie, and let's get the audience involved in this. We want to kind of go down the line here, and maybe what your relationship is to Galaxy Quest, and your minute thoughts on this film. Dan, why don't you begin?
All right, my relationship to Galaxy Quest. I saw it in the theater when it came out, and I'm a huge Star Trek nerd. I was the Star Trek nerd growing up, not the Star Wars nerd. There was a distinction in the late 80s, early 90s, and I was the Star Trek guy. So when I saw this movie, I was very excited. I actually hoped they would do it with, Star Trek. So it was cool to see a show. The show was real and all that fun stuff. I thought it was a good comedy, good parody of Star Trek. I have a little patch, little crew member patch that I've actually had this patch for 15 years, and I ironed it on at 3:30 today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
That's good.
Just so I could join you guys in the nerddom. So yeah, just a big fan of it. I haven't seen the movie in probably 12, 13 years. I do have a copy of it on DVD.
So if we watched Notting Hill tonight, would you have worn something specific for that?
I really wish I had a Notting Hill joke ready to go, but it's still deep in my anals.
Okay,
I
all right.
Yeah. So yeah, probably. I mean, is Hugh Grant in that?
Yeah.
Then I would have worn my Hugh Grant underwear
Okay. Underoos.
on the outside of my pants.
Okay, good.
So everyone could see them. Or no pants.
Perfect.
Okay.
B.
Hey, yeah.
Hi.
I saw Galaxy Quest when I was a kid, growing up, and just like a couple times sporadically, but I watched it again for the pod, and I think it's a great time. I liked it a lot.
Kid, wow, I was an adult. Ugh, gross.
Yeah, I like parody movies. I like genre movies. I like parody movies. This is right up my street. I was not a Star Trek nerd yet. There's still time for me, but
Yeah.
I haven't dug deep into it yet. But I think this movie transcends just Star Trek. I know that's what it's based on, but I think it works for the whole genre.
Cool. Sam Cole.
So I actually missed this movie in the theater in 1999. I'm a big sci-fi fan. I love Star Wars, Star Trek. I did, yeah, I did catch it later.
Because you're watching Phantom Menace over and over.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, yeah. Even though that was
I think that's a
a
bad
disappointing film, but I'll get to that later.
I'm sorry, were Star Wars fans disappointed by that film?
No, not at all. What gave you that idea?
I had no idea. I mean, it was a rebirth, right, of a franchise.
It was pretty amazing. But no, I do love Galaxy Quest. Watching it again just now, I'll say I'm just amazed at how many levels it works on. It's a comedy, it's an action adventure, it's a sci-fi film, and it actually, for me, works on all the levels. The comedy's funny, the characters are funny, the references are funny, and then the adventure in and of itself is actually it's not a bad sci-fi movie on its own right. So for me, it just
the
works on
alien-
all levels, yeah.
Yeah, the aliens in that were more convincing than some of the aliens in the actual, like, stuff it's parodying.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like it's the production design is impressive, especially for 1999. The rock monster CGI doesn't look bad today. 25 years, not great, but it's
It's 1999.
1999.
Yeah.
It looked
What are you gonna do?
awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, coming off of Vector Man from the Genesis a few years before,
That's true. Yeah.
the same technology.
I wanted to give a shout out to the actor who plays Mathazar, Enrico Colantoni. He, just watching him tonight, he sells it so well. The Thermians, they're so out there that they could have been very off-putting or unintentionally silly, and I'm amazed that the scene where he finds out that Tim Allen and his friends are actors and are lying to him is actually moving, and he has these ridiculous like facial expressions and sounds. But I buy him and the other alien characters the whole time. That the movie rides a very fine balance of it veers towards the ridiculous and then it reins it in. It's kind of just like a high wire act. And watching it again tonight, because I had seen pieces of it recently, but I actually haven't watched the whole film in a long time. I'm amazed how well every single element is just well balanced. It's impressive to pull off a movie with this tone because it's self-aware and yet it actually delivers like thrills and fun that it makes the 7-year-old and all of us like come back alive, which I like. I enjoy that aspect of it.
Yeah. I did not grow up like a big Star Trek fan. I loved the movies. I wasn't really a big into like Next Generation or any of the shows around. So I remember I did not see this in the theater. I was actually working at Hollywood Video in the late 90s when I remember this was on the shelves. And I watched it, and it really didn't land like in a huge way with me. But because I had some general knowledge of Star Trek, I thought it was okay. But I do not have a background in Comic-Con conventions or the whole Trekkie lore. So I got the jokes, but it didn't really resonate with me in a huge way. I didn't watch this for now 24 years between viewings, and I watched it. This is my 4th time this week watching this, so I think I know this movie pretty well now.
Wow.
And I'm
got it
good
down,
for a
yeah.
while. I'm good for a while. But
Yeah.
what I think really makes this movie, I never even thought this movie is really a straight parody either, as you mentioned, B. But I think what's really cool about this movie is that it's a comedy, but besides Tim Allen, who has a stand-up comedy background, that's where he got his roots are in that. Everybody in here is just a fantastic, just straightforward, dramatic actor. And I think that is kind of the key to sometimes a great comedy, is just getting good talent in there in the first place. And then wonderful things can happen afterwards. If you put a whole bunch of comedians in a movie like this, I think it might not be as good. So I like that the fact they just got great
Ensemble
talent,
is-
and from there,
This was when they were trying to make Tim Allen into a cinematic behemoth.
Well, this
'cause
is
Home Improvement
99.
had just ended.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to do movies now.
I'm gonna
It's-
be
yeah.
Captain Kirk. I'm gonna be Santa. It's gonna happen for me. I also want to thank this movie for giving me the chance to use. I have one of those ironing boards that are built into the wall that like fold out, and I bought an iron a couple months ago, and then I got to use it today.
Hell yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
But,
Right,
but seriously, what Nathan was saying I could not agree with that more. If it was all comedians in this film, it would have made it a lot cheesier. The fact that you have Alan Rickman and Sigourney Weaver, the fact that they're in this automatically kind of classes the movie up, and so it elevates it.
It
So you
lends
think, well, if
pathos.
they wanted to do it, it must be good.
It lends pathos to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it doesn't hurt that Sigourney Weaver's shirt comes off incrementally as the action builds.
Her shirt and Alan Rickman's headpiece
Yeah.
are both just slowly wearing.
Yeah.
Her performance is so funny in this because I'm so used to seeing her be tough and kind of, kick ass as Ellen Ripley. And, well, of course, but she's done Ghostbusters. I mean, she's no stranger to comedy. It's just funny seeing her in a sci-fi film that is so lighthearted.
Yeah.
Her performance is great. in this.
Rickman's
Yeah.
Rickman's pain at being sort of a overrated or underrated actor is almost like it's almost like he just channeled his paycheck from this movie. He's just like, I don't want to be in this either. Yeah.
well, his real life is a direct comparison to what he was
Yeah.
going through in this, because he was typecasted as a villain in movies like Sheriff of Nottingham and Die Hard, and he was in a bunch of like really dry, dramatic movies in the 90s, and he at first didn't want to do this. I recall, because he doesn't like science fiction.
Right.
I read that. It's like, he thought this was ridiculous, but the fact that this was, he was going to have an opportunity to be against type, I think is what really attracted him to this material.
Sam Rockwell, by the way.
I think it's his first film, first feature film, perhaps. No, he did one
great.
other one.
I love him so much.
The whole
He's my MVP of this movie.
Yeah.
It's crushing it.
I know.
The dynamic,
Super strong on
like
so
matched, the dynamic sort of matched reality too,
Yeah.
because Alan Rickman found Tim Allen really annoying to work with at first, and that's not a stretch at all. You can just
Right.
see that incredible, intense thespian. Tim Allen is like making jokes with the crew and like being a goofball, and like you can just see that chemistry is like the casting is perfect there.
The casting is all over the map too, because you see people like Justin Long and Rainn Wilson,
Yeah.
and just popping up. Rainn Wilson, I don't even think had a line. At the
No, it's Rainn
he
Wilson
was
is
part of
such a
the group
known
hug.
face now, and you look at him and you like see him in a couple of shots, but he's
Yeah.
not even like one of the main Thermians. It's just
So
like,
I
oh,
wanna-
there he is. Yeah.
I want to get some of the audience involved here, but let's go around it. Do you guys have like your favorite, your funniest moment from this movie? I'd like to ask you guys, and maybe ask some.
I just love when Sigourney Weaver. I love when any actor in a movie, any character builds and builds and loses their shit. So I just love when she screams, this episode was poorly written. That's like my favorite. That's my favorite moment, I think, in the movie, because I love that.
I've got a favorite shot because I tend to think of shots, but when they're first getting on the ship and they're riding down in an elevator, they're at the spaceport, and it's all close proximity and the walls are close to them. Then they go down a floor and the view opens up, and it's sort of like an over-the-shoulder shot of Tim Allen, and you can see the whole entire ship. And he just sort of turns to his crew and the camera, and he's like, hell yeah, guys, how about this? To me, that one shot just exemplifies the whole feeling of what the entire movie is.
I think I was going to go back to like my funniest moment. Sam Rockwell steals. There's two characters. I mean, Sam Rockwell and Tony Shalhoub. Tony Shalhoub, by the way, underrated
Fantastic.
actor. I mean,
Wings.
everything he's done. But going back to Wings in the '90s, Monk, Miss Maisel, everything he's done is gold. By the way, Tony Shalhoub. I don't know if a lot of people know this. He's won a Golden Globe, a Grammy, and.
He's won my heart.
He's halfway to an EGOT, and all he needs is to be cast possibly in a Scorsese or Spielberg movie, and he's like almost there because they get their actors nominated. But it's incredible, like the awards that he's won. But Sam Rockwell, his freak out on the way down to the planet where because it's so in all of these Star Trek films, we've never had a self-aware red shirt.
Yeah.
And it's so hysterical because he's like, has anybody checked this if the air is even breathable? And he's kind of like the audience surrogate because it's such a common trope in movies where like, oh, we just like go out there without a helmet and
Test it
everything's
on the
fine,
red
you know?
shirt, yeah.
And he's saying what like the audience has been thinking for like 50 years of science fiction films. And it's a really great moment. Is there air? You don't know. So he's calling out these tropes. So I love Sam Rockwell in this film. Anybody here have a favorite scene or a funny line of dialogue? Because I'd love to get some.
I'll hand him the mic.
Yeah, we have a mic.
I love the I don't have a last name. That's
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah. What about B? Did you have a favorite scene?
I like when the main Thermian goes back and he's like, "Oh, you were lying, saying that you were actors. That was a funny joke.
Yeah, good job.
Good job." Oh,
The way he walks into the room there, he's like, I'm just like,
You
perfect.
almost
It's
got
perfect.
me.
I did like, and as an actor and comic too, I loved the way they embodied that choice of how they were gonna speak. Just sort of the ridiculousness of the words, and I just thought that was really funny because it had that tightrope walk of like being so stupid.
Exactly.
But it's so
We're just gonna sound like morons. Like,
It's amazing that they do that and they
Yeah.
can get away with it so
Yeah,
well.
it was
Because of
so-
Lacey Pyle's face. They get away with it.
it was
She's
so good, yeah, and the fact that their face muscles, they all work together as an ensemble. The aliens, the Thermians, they all made the same smiles. Like they all had similar faces.
Their physical acting is
Yeah.
amazing too. Their movements, like when Tony Shalhoub was running down the hall with one of them, and they're like running but trying to mimic
Oh,
human.
yeah,
I
all
didn't
their-
notice that before.
All
That
of
was
their
hilarious.
business. Yeah.
I think I was reading during the casting process. I forget if the casting director or if it was the director, Dean Parisa. He loved the actor that played Mathesar so much. When he cast him, he told anybody else that was auditioning for the Thermians, he showed them tapes of his audition. Like, this is how
physicality,
we want
yeah.
the Thermians to be, because he liked how he played it so well.
I'm gonna be doing that voice all week now.
How did the Thermians not become like, I don't go to Comic-Con conventions but I've never seen them like,
Comic-Con convention.
I don't.
It's like saying
I don't
ATM
do-
machine.
I don't do these things.
Comic-Con cons.
Cons. I don't do it, you know.
Could you
I-
be any less cool?
No.
I don't go to con.
But they're not like a costume that I have ever seen anywhere. Like, I don't see, like, does anyone dress up as a Thermian?
As a Thermian?
Yeah,
So
I've never seen it.
as a big
not that I'm
squid, or
aware of.
like
No,
as like
yeah.
a
Like, it seems like something
guy
that's
in
a pretty
silver
cool
suit?
costume.
It is a pretty.
They
cool
might.
costume.
They might. I don't know, but I don't know if it has the
Nobody
cultural reach.
dress
as-
Yeah,
for
so
Halloween.
I do go to Comic-Con conventions, and I haven't seen it. I mean, I've seen, because usually it's popular stuff, and I
it's
haven't
popular?
really seen. I mean, I haven't really seen this. You know what I mean? Seen like random like anime stuff and like people dressed up as things that you wouldn't normally see, but I haven't seen. No,
I hear
haven't.
that. I mean,
except for this patch.
I think it did well in
the whole thing,
1999, but I
doing
don't
the
think it
whole
has a
walk and the
cultural
thing, you
like
know?
reach 25 years later. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's kind of in the zeitgeist. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
But I
like
feel
the
like this
Borg but
is-
yeah.
yeah.
You know, because it wasn't that long ago that at one of these cons, is that better, Dan?
No, go ahead.
This movie was voted as the 7th best Star Trek film.
Yeah,
know,
actually,
it's
I have
popular.
I have a buddy, my buddy Paul. I was texting him today, and he's like, "Oh, you have a gig tonight?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm busy." And I told him what I was doing, and he was like, "Oh, Galaxy Quest. That's my favorite Star Trek movie." Oh my God.
Yeah,
So
every movie is.
You know
better
the
than Star
theory,
Trek
right?
5,
All
yeah.
the odd number Star Treks are terrible, and all the even number Star Treks are
3 is good though, but I hear you. Yeah. I like 3.
Which one?
Search for Spock.
Search for Spock. Okay, I'll give it that.
It's not. But you're right. Generally, the odd numbered one, like that's generally accepted. 3 for me is like,
6 is
pretty good,
probably
though.
my favorite.
6 is incredible.
6 is
yeah.
probably the best. Yeah. Anyway, I digress.
But
Nathan,
just like
all real.
like talking about the tonality when when Saris comes out at the very end and they're at the convention and they shoot him, like he could have just blown up, but the movie adds that whimsy where like he blows up and then it goes like doing a little spark.
Yeah.
He implodes, where it's hilarious because it's like, oh, this is all part of the show. Like it just they have these little touches like that I notice. I also notice like the plant and payoff in the script. Watching it this time, everything that's set up is paid off pretty well. Like the story, like the mines, the this, the that. Like they don't introduce something in this movie and then abandon it. Like it's pretty airtight story-wise.
It's Chekhov's Thermian.
Yeah.
Do we have an audience question?
This is on. I don't have a question. I just have a few comments and observations. So I may be one of the only actors in the room. There might be others, but I look at this always from an acting perspective and also looking at it from a career perspective. So to be able to see Rainn Wilson, who's like 15 in this, which he's probably not, but at the beginning of his long career, and then we see, some, again, like Alan Rickman and Sigourney Weaver, and we know what they kind of went on to do. It's fascinating to kind of look at this as a job for them, but also a unique job, especially if they don't like the genre. We know Sigourney Weaver does. I also, just from a production standpoint, love thinking about how do they wrangle the 200 extras that are at the Comic-Con, because there's no CGI. That was a lot of people, right? And when you are behind the scenes and everybody has to get the hair and makeup done and everybody has to wait until they're asked to get on set, and there's always the stragglers, like it just from a production standpoint, it's pretty amazing what happened in this show. Like there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
I love that. I love the production standpoint and actually having a bunch of extras actually there. You know what I mean? Like there's so much CGI these days that just like anything that's real is refreshing.
And there's so many cool little touches, like the not quite Klingons.
Yeah.
And the not quite Romulans. Like they had Star Trek like Timu, like aliens in the audience. They did have that. So if you're a Trek fan like I am, and you look in the sea of the extras, you see those little parody touches.
See, I feel like I miss out on a lot of those Easter eggs as someone who's not a diehard fan.
Yeah.
But Star Trek's so pervasive in the culture.
It's in the zeitgeist. So
It's in the zeitgeist that you just can grab onto this movie still, even if you're not a super fan.
Yeah.
To the point where even I was watching the movie again tonight thinking, this is written like one long episode.
It also points points the finger at television. It points the finger at society too, because it points the finger at those types of shows and us watching those shows and people, putting those shows on pedestals, but it also shows how we treat famous people. It shows how famous people really are. So it's kind of like also a commentary on that, not just a parody of Star Trek.
It does that without being preachy about it,
Yeah.
which is impressive. Like
It's
I
not
can't
with
believe
that.
it pulls it off so well.
And it doesn't
yeah.
punch down.
No, exactly. Even the actors from Star Trek: The Next Generation, like Patrick Stewart and Jonathan Frakes. Jonathan Frakes saw it, and he convinced Patrick Stewart, other members of the cast, to see it. They didn't want to see it. They said, "Oh, this movie's going to be mean-spirited and it's making fun of Star Trek." Then they saw it and they loved it because it's a parody, but it's not like down on Star Trek. It's not like, look at this stupid thing. You know what I mean? There's like love behind it, and it's just and I'm sure it's amusing to them, having been on that show, all the kind of inside jokes. Like I'm just amazed how well it pulls that off.
All right, should we start the Thermian dance-off?
Yes.
I am going to win. I will do the robot. I'm going to be talking like that all week.
Something that I thought was a weak thing, because I like to be the Debbie Downer. I thought there was so much great character work, great actors in this. The Saris and what race was it? I'm calling them just like monster turtles, because they just look like turtles to me.
They were like
They were great design.
turtle roaches.
I thought that was great character design for them, but I thought Saris was the most boring intergalactic villain I've ever seen on camera. I mean, it was just, there was no humor to them. I thought they were just deadpan delivery, and it was just not the least bit interesting. And they put so much effort into character moments and funny moments with our heroes. that I was a little disappointed that they could have made the villains a little bit more interesting.
See,
I'm so glad they didn't.
I'll pull a positive from what you're saying because they were the straight men. He was evil, like pure evil the whole time. He was like, kill them, destroy them, blow it up, come on. Do it. He was serious because he had to be. Because if they were ridiculous,
I didn't think they were
and
ridiculous.
the Thermians were ridiculous, and all the jokes from the Galaxy Quest crew, it would have all been a farce.
I didn't need them to be ridiculous. I just wanted them to have depth or character. They were just a drag.
They were one note, but I think it was needed for them to be.
I hear you there, Nick. I'm actually kind of in the middle on this one, but I actually sort of agree with Nathan. I didn't dislike the main villain, but lots of people are really impressed with the creature design and the movement on his face. I've never been blown away by it. I think he's fine, but people are like, "Oh, it's the greatest," and I don't hate it. I'm not like anti that villain, but it is a weaker element. I think when the Thermians are so good, I think what Nathan is saying is it would be cool if there were villains that like matched that level of like it feels like they're just underdeveloped. The bad guy lizards,
I
you
think
know.
what they didn't get
Not terrible.
characterization, they got in really funny body comedy. There was some really good moments where they were like splattered up against a windshield, or like when the rock monster goes to attack them. They had this kind of clumsy hive.
But maybe it could have leaned into it with a little more physical comedy.
The henchmen guys, like the guys that were running the goons that were running around the ship, those seemed a little bit more dialed down as far as costumes and stuff. They were just like stuntmen in green clothes. It looked like
they only had one, I think, creature design that model, or a few of them. So Saris, I think the other sidekicks for him, it was the same mold that they added the few features to it as well.
Saris was so cool. He reminded me of something you'd see like my favorite band Guar. You know, it's like an alien with like metal plates on his eyes and like cool spines that come up on his back when
I like
he's
that.
angry.
When you get angry, the spikes go up. Yeah.
You know, like
I do like the moving parts on his face, and I couldn't tell if it was just if he's like an actor with a prosthetic thing on that has like motion control parts, but like all the stuff moving on his face, like that was impressive.
that was really cool. I think it was mostly practical. Had to
Yeah,
be,
it looked like
We
it.
have another audience.
We have a question.
I'm not exactly sure where to start. To answer your question from before, what was the funniest thing in here?
Yeah.
It's still I've only seen this once before, 25 years ago. So this is my second time watching it. The joke that stood out to me then is the same joke that stands out to me now. It's when Tony Shalhoub and the alien are getting it on, and Sam Rockwell's response to it is really very funny.
Oh, that's not right.
Oh man, that's
Oh,
not
yeah.
right. And that's when this is about where Sam Rockwell was starting to come out of like independent films and show up in these mainstream films over time. And that was and so this is really early for him. There's only one Oscar winner in this film, and it's him.
Yeah.
I find interesting. I think that this is a perfectly cast movie.
Great casting.
Yeah. And I also, if I'm to sum it up, one day a bunch of guys got together and said, let's put Trekkies, Three Amigos, and Space Camp in a blender.
It's like my mom would say, there's a lot of actors in this movie.
Yeah. And I also think that a lot is borrowed from Toy Story just a few years before, because I think the aliens are kind of modeled after the little aliens in Toy Story. Remember the
Chosen ones.
Oh, yeah.
The ones in the claw, yeah.
Yeah,
Look
yeah,
exactly
the one,
like them,
exactly.
actually, yeah.
And I
Yep.
feel like they're out of that. I think obviously this is borrowing from Buzz Lightyear and Toy Story thematically, just 4 years before. So I can just see a studio just getting all these ingredients together, like the manatees who write South Park. Or Family Guy.
Family
sorry,
Guy, yeah.
in the South Park episode.
I love how you
South Park guys were in this, weren't they?
gestured toward me like Dan knows.
Yeah,
He's the guy
you would
that knows. Yeah.
you would know. I think this is Dean Paraso. The only other film I've seen that he directed was Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Yeah. Came out
Which is
great.
more recent.
Great sequel.
He's a very good comedy director, from what I can see. And I agree with you about the aliens, in a weird way. The bad guys.
Somebody.
Yeah, but it didn't strike me until Nate said it. I think the one criticism I have of the movie, and I may be alone on this, because I think it was very clever when it came out, and I love the combinations of things. To me now, it might just be me. It just feels a little dated to me now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It feels very 1999.
Yeah, you sort of need some nostalgia for it at this point.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that whole desert planet with the beryllium sphere is very like 1999 ho-hum kind of like CGI actions. Like that's
Like a
What's that
Dr.
show
Seuss
from the 70s? The Land Before, what is it?
Yeah.
The Land of the Lost or
Land
something?
of the
yeah,
Lost.
it's got that cheap
That was out of
feel. I
that.
know what you mean. Yeah.
And I think that like other space parodies, Spaceballs ages better than this, and other Abrams Zucker films age better than this.
Spaceballs age as well. I
It's
saw that
Spaceballs.
literally like a week
Nathan
ago.
and I were thinking about other parodies. Princess Bride keeps coming to mind. for
Princess
me.
Bride ages very well.
I recently rewatched I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker.
Yeah.
Did that age well?
That aged better than this. A little
Okay.
bit. Yeah. So
Okay.
black exploitation.
You're saying like it didn't. It's not that it's aged poorly. It's just contained within its time. Where you
Correct.
It's
Feel,
time
you can
capsule.
feel it. It doesn't quite reach over. It's like this is a 1999 movie. You can tell that like Disney is like we're gonna do a sci-fi thing because Star Wars just came back out again. Like you can see the
Well,
mentality.
it's the
of it.
same year,
remember-
so it's times parallel-wise. But I'm thinking like I could see them all the screenwriters sitting there watching Three Amigos, and then you watch Space Camp, I'll watch Three Amigos, and we'll meet at lunch. And it almost feels like
I don't remember specifically, and this might be a good game to play with the cast and audience here, but I remember in '99, I was 19, huge fan of movies and Star Trek and stuff. My criticism from then would probably be my criticism from now, is where I would not have liked Tim Allen to be in that movie. I'm not a huge Tim Allen fan, wasn't really a huge Tim Allen stan then.
Well, the director wanted Alec Baldwin.
Okay, Alec Baldwin would have been good.
see
You know,
He was originally
probably would have loaded one of the phasers wrong.
well, Harold Ramis, not to hijack you, but Harold Ramis was the original director. He wanted Alec Baldwin.
I think that was
Yeah.
a good one.
Well, who would? I don't remember who I wanted back then, but I remember going.
Should we play the recasting game?
Let's play it.
Yes.
We actually have a little game here that we used to do. We haven't had this segment in a while, where we recast this movie, but it has to be recast with Mark Wahlberg.
Something in this field could be releasing the chemical into the air when there's too many of us together.
Don't eyeball me, boy. I see your mother driving up and down the street looking at me. I'll be your stepfather by the week.
It's a bad time, Bob. I'm serious. If I leave now, I'm not coming back.
You ever hear the expression, you got a face only a mother can love?
Let's just stay ahead of the wind.
Yes. So I'm asking you guys, and anyone else here can participate, who are you recasting in this movie with Mark Wahlberg?
Who am I replacing?
Yeah, you have to replace
Tim
somebody's
Allen.
movie. Tim Allen?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm putting Mark Wahlberg in the front of it.
All right. Anyone else here?
He could do the Tim Allen role because he'd have more like angst. Guys, we got to get the beryllium spear. Come on, let's go do it.
Yeah. Come on, kid.
Come on, guys. Like, what we got to get out of here. But I am a Tim Allen fan. I mean, I think it's because of Home Improvement. I love that show. I've seen all 206 episodes.
During the run of
specific
our
number.
show, didn't you watch the whole thing? Or
Did I watched the whole thing? Yeah.
And
Well, you should have been watching more movies with us. You know. Then you would've had maybe a better time.
Join
Anyway.
Sam on his new podcast, Back to the Home Improvement Rate,
Right.
where it's a rewatch show.
Of every episode.
Every episode. Yeah.
I'm gonna be on it. Yeah,
It's gonna be good.
it's gonna be good.
Anybody have any other recasting ideas? It doesn't have to be Mark Wahlberg.
Right.
Sam Rockwell. Put Mark Wahlberg in for Sam Rockwell.
Oh, you can't lose Sam Rockwell. You can't lose him in this.
Everyone's
That's
so
fine.
good.
Yeah.
Everyone's so good.
Actually, everyone is fantastic in this. It's hard to
If you try to cast the whole movie with the worst actor, like not bad actors, but the worst casting you could possibly imagine, that's like a fun challenge.
Anti-casting.
Yeah.
I replace Mark Wahlberg in the Saris role because that'd be more interesting.
If they were going to make this movie today, I think Zoe Saldana could do the Sigourney Weaver role.
She could do it so well. You know, speaking of that, they were going to do Disney Plus was going to do a Galaxy Quest show with all the cast, but it was right around the time that Alan Rickman passed away, unfortunately, and that stopped it. But I would have loved that show if that had come together. I would have watched that.
Yeah,
because the concept is there. Like that could continue on Disney Plus. Well,
Yeah.
Yep.
You mean we shouldn't just? Be
I would
watching
like it if
Agents
they
of
did
S.H.I.E.L.D.?
that with like an entourage fourth wall break, where like they film in the show and then they're also in real life, living their lives. And that would have been cool.
you know exactly.
So I have a question. Or you have another thing?
No, the only thing I was going to add is the only show that I want Disney to do a spin-off series from a movie, as in continuation from it, and it can pick up like 30, 40 years later.
National Treasure.
No.
Argyle.
No.
Air Bud.
Howard the Duck.
You were the closest.
Howard the Duck. They could pick up with Leah Thompson and the Duck and Tim Robbins.
They could do that.
Sure.
He's doing Affleck.
They
Air
could
Bud-
totally
Air
do
Bud
it.
is sad that they
I
had to-
already have ideas.
They had to replace the golden retriever in
I
Air
have a
Bud because he
question
lost
that-
his paw
that
to cancer, so they replaced the dog halfway through the shoot.
I have a question that anybody in this room
Sad.
can answer, and I don't know the answer to this. So why do the Thermians, why can't they use the same technology to beam Tim Allen off the rock planet that they used him to beam off of Earth, like the goo transporter?
I thought of that, and I think it's because they're on the ship now, and on the ship they have the technology from the show, but before they were on the space station, and they had the Thermian bubble thing. So I think that's, in my head, I just wrote it off because I thought about it too, but I'm like, oh, well, they're using the ship now. That's why.
So they can't use the goo transporter?
They don't have it on there. They have Tony Shalhoub's hand job.
That's right, because the goo transporter is at the starbase. Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was like some long distance, short distance transport.
We have another
That might
audience.
be-
Yeah.
That could be.
Hold on,
that could
let's
be it
get
too.
you.
Yeah.
Let's get you a mic.
Question for you, Nathan,
Yeah.
is what compels you to be logical about this one
That is my
particular
question.
item?
Yeah, I like.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Joel.
yeah.
Because I think
Yeah,
that
I have
if
no
if I were
comment after
writing this
working with Nathan
movie,
for 2
I would have
years,
thought of that. You know, there's.
Would you have?
I think of logic. Listen, I think about the fact, and my daughter actually, Chloe, was here. We actually looked at each other during a scene here, which has bothered me every time I see this. When they're leaving the docking bay or whatever it is, and they're driving out, he scrapes the side of the dock, whatever it is. I can't think straight.
It's a
now.
dock. It's okay. Calm.
Whatever.
Breathe.
A docking
Remember.
And the wing of the ship would be inside
I
of the
did have the
space
same thought on
station
that
if
one.
that were the case. It makes no sense at all. The geometry doesn't work out.
That's true. But to point out, on the record, this is the guy who, when we watched Gremlins, he said, "So I don't get it. If you feed the gremlins after midnight, wouldn't it not be midnight in another time zone?" And the sequel,
Oh my
the
God.
sequel, Gremlins 2,
And you
which
just
I
have a-
can't get him to watch, acknowledges this comedy and is brilliant. And,
Yeah.
and
You have a gremlin somewhere eating chicken going.
Sauron,
It's
the
5
Christopher
o'clock.
Lee is in Gremlins 2. I'm telling you, Gremlins 2. He's annoyed because I,
know
never
Gremlins
shut up
2 is
about
gonna show up
Gremlins
at my
2.
doorstep someday, Sam.
I'm sorry, but
Will.
Be a
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but Nate, you're like. But Nate is
Every
Nate.
time.
You
I will
really
stand by that movie.
hold on
forever.
1 second. You really
Never
couldn't
give up,
ha-
never surrender, you
Oh,
bastard.
Nathan, I will fight to speak. You couldn't handle gremlins? Like you couldn't handle a gremlin eating at midnight in California because it's 5 o'clock in another place?
It doesn't make any sense. I
It
mean,
makes
I
sense.
like
It's
Gremlins.
time zone based, okay? If you take that alien, if you take that gremlin, sorry, I'm getting all confused. Your blazer is
They could
making
be
me
kind of
crazy. If you take that gremlin out of I don't know where they were, New York or whatever, you take that gremlin, it's midnight in New York, and you
Pennsylvania. I think they're in
fly to
Pennsylvania.
California, and it's 9 because it's like 3 hours difference, or what? I don't know if it's backwards or forwards. Who
Dan,
gives a
I
shit?
think the movie's supposed to take place in Pennsylvania.
Shut up! You
New-
did it's the
New
same
York-
time zone.
actually,
So you
it's
take
New York State.
So you,
Town is
so
New
you
York
take
State.
the gremlin from Pennsylvania. I hate you. So you take the gremlin. I don't. You take the gremlin from Pennsylvania. It's 12 o'clock. He starts eating. You get him on a plane, fly him to California. Right. So he's gonna turn into a gremlin a couple times. It's not gonna matter, dude. He started eating at midnight.
It just makes it's biology. The
actually-
biology of a gremlin
It's
doesn't
actually
know what
helpful
time
for
it
a
is.
gremlin to
But
be
Nathan,
like,
to
it's
its
very
credit,
raw.
the whole reason why I keep peddling Gremlins 2 is because I think the comedy in that film acknowledges your logic and is like you will appreciate like Gremlins 2. You will be entertained. by
So
it.
if you
I would
address
not.
my
I
concerns
would
of the
not
first
give you a
movie?
movie for you
Okay.
to hate it. My goal is for you to be entertained by it.
If you get a mogwai wet, right?
Yeah.
They reproduce.
Have you seen the movie I made?
You have anything to say
like
about
10
that?
years ago?
Yeah, that was actually a really good movie. I showed that to.
I was just trying to make a joke about something, but it didn't work, and so I gave up on it and stopped.
So, yeah. Anyway, so logic, whatever. What else?
Although you're right, though the wing would have hit the other side.
It would have gone through the.
It would have
wall,
been like.
yeah.
It would have been like it was tight. I mean, I hate to say you're right. You're right.
You hate it. Right?
I hate
Me
it.
too, yeah.
Uh oh.
Hey, me and my daughter, we looked at each other like, yeah. I hate. You know what? I have a documented. I have a Google document dated 8 days ago with that note. So Anyways.
Next time, get it in writing.
We gotta watch Gremlins 2 now, Nathan.
Do you like Gremlins 2?
I love
Hey,
Gremlins 2.
Dan
high
and
five
Sam
for
can
them,
start their own podcast and do that. All right, whatever.
It's so good. Hulk
is
Hogan's
good.
in it. Like, come on, man.
Christopher Lee, isn't it?
Christopher Lee is in it, bro. Female gremlin looking all hot.
Thank you all for coming to our Gremlins 2 podcast.
We have another.
Okay, so my like from this movie is probably very different than anyone else since I'm not like a movie nerd. I like the part where the teenager has all those fireworks and goes to and his mother's like, "What are you doing with all those fireworks?" And he like spews off all his scientific knowledge, and she's like, "Okay, just be home by 7." And looks at her husband, like, "At least he's going outside." I feel like Nathan and I have had that discussion many times where some kid is like, "I'm just." No, you didn't ever carry fireworks up.
Oh, someone else in your family that is also very
technological-
specific.
Yes.
Yeah.
technological-
I've never said that about Roman candles.
That scene is hilarious. I
like
agree. Yeah.
fireworks. But to me, that was like the funniest thing because I feel like I've had that exact conversation where I'm like, what are you doing with
Any
that
parent
gadget?
has had that conversation.
I also love
Kids, yeah.
I also love Nathan's wife beginning her question with me like, look, I'm not a nerd
No, I said I'm not a movie
like
nerd.
you guys,
No, I
but
didn't say that. I said I'm not a movie
but
nerd.
I
don't
like
know-
criticizing teenagers. That's what I like.
This movie is so wholesome.
Yeah.
This movie is so wholesome.
It is.
It's a
That's the
PG.
thing.
They had to get rid of any single
Yes,
swear.
Sigourney
piece of-
Weaver's famous,
Oh, that is
like,
so good.
Synchronization.
Yeah, in fact, I watched on this Blu-ray. There's a lot of deleted scenes, and they took out anything that had any vulgarity.
Any
so,
poop words.
Hear that.
any poo words, yes.
Let's see the unrated version.
Or as we called them when my daughter was young, red words.
What's funny is we didn't really address this. This came out on Christmas, 1999. This is a Christmas movie. It seems so weird.
That is
I remember going out and seeing it, getting Chinese food.
It doesn't seem like a Christmas film.
Yeah, it was cool.
Came out the same day as Any Given Sunday, Talented Mr. Ripley, and I think there was one other one. But it just seems
the
like
same day as Talented Mr. Ripley.
no. But I mean, I don't know. What is a Christmas movie? But this just seems like it's just a.
Okay.
Ooh.
It
There
came
are,
out.
there are lights in it.
But if you want to get frustrated with Nathan about like an opinion, ask him how he feels about Bubble Guppies, the TV show.
Going off the air.
It's
And-
time for lunch.
No, I love Bubble Guppies.
But how do you feel about
This episode is going in some directions.
How do you feel about
Doing
bubble gum?
guppies. Oh, bubble guppies. So bubble guppies. My problem is with bubble guppies. For everyone's sake.
amazing.
Everybody swims in bubble guppies. Why are there sidewalks?
Who gave you a microphone?
I mean,
Why are the
Is Bubble
roads?
Guppies
Why are
animated?
the
Because
sidewalks?
it's Bubble Guppies. It's a kid show.
Yes, but why why are there stairs? Why are there sidewalks?
In SpongeBob,
I don't
in
watch SpongeBob.
SpongeBob, Krabby Patties are made of fish,
Exactly.
and they serve them to fish.
Are they really?
So
I get that. Fish eat fish, though.
the Soylent Green is
But
people.
fish eat fish. That's their food
It's
supply.
it's not cool, man.
Is it an animated show? What's it called?
yeah.
Bubble Guppies.
Bubble Guppies. I like that.
All right.
Guppy, guppy, guppy.
We're getting toward the end of things
I
here.
love how Nate
wanna-
was like, "But fish eat fish."
I
Dan."
wanna ask some of our people still hanging around here, and here, our host here, of what would be a movie pairing. I have a bumper for this though. One last time.
Sir,
What?
are either one of these any good?
I don't watch movies.
Well, have you heard anything about either one of them?
I find it's best to stay out of other people's affairs.
You mean you haven't heard anybody say anything about either one of these?
Nope.
Well, what about these two?
Well, they suck.
All right. So
I don't appreciate your ruse.
double feature with Galaxy Quest. What do you guys recommend to pair with Galaxy Quest? And what would you watch first? So, and anybody can participate.
I would probably go with Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home.
Okay.
And Galaxy Quest, just to get a little taste of like the serious with some jokes, because Star Trek 4 is hilarious. And then I think I would do that just to get a genre film in there as well.
I love Star Trek. In fact, watching Galaxy Quest makes me want to watch Star Trek, and so I would say I would start with Galaxy Quest as like the comedic beginning, but then I would end the night with the gravitas of Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, and just like have a real like sci-fi adventure, you know?
Yeah, I just love in Voyage Home. I just love like the jokes, like the double dumbass on you and all that stuff.
The Voyage Home is excellent.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
Yeah, because it has the comedy, but plays it straight with the genre film and stuff like that. So like it's not a parody, but it's like a parody of itself. It's,
Right. And they're like total fish out of water.
Yeah.
Just brilliant. Like,
yeah.
You are aware of the one scene in that movie where Nichelle Nichols and Walter Koenig are. Remember, they're asking people where the nuclear vessels are. Remember that one?
Yeah,
I remember that. Yeah.
And of course, remember there was a woman they came up to, and she said, "Oh, that's right, they're across the bay in Alameda." And of course, they both play it off, no problem. And then they realized when the scene was cut, hey, wait a minute, that passerby wait a minute, we got to go back and get a release from her. So they had to chase her through the streets and say, wherever she went, and then track her down.
She was not an extra with
She
the
was
movie.
not an extra.
Just
She was
walked in and
she
was like, oh.
no,
yeah.
because that was what they were doing. They were just Nimoy wanted spontaneity, wanted authenticity. So what happened is he told Nichelle and Walter, stay in the street, talk to people. Chances are most of them won't give you the time of day. Just play off it. But one lady did stop, gave them some feedback, and then walked away. And then they realized, wait a minute, she's not signed. She didn't sign anything. We got to chase after her. And that's what they had to do.
And she was so sincere, too. She
was so genuine. Yeah.
But, it's amazing.
She should. I mean, hopefully
I stand by my period.
I mean, hopefully she got credited.
Hopefully she did, yeah. I mean, it's...
Double feature?
Yeah.
Feature? I would do Mars Attacks.
Mars
Mars Attacks.
Another great movie.
Yeah.
Last Starfighter.
I love The Last
That
Starfighter.
that was my other pick. I have one. It's not as fun, but
Okay. Well, B is spot on with Mars
Yeah,
Attacks.
yeah.
There's no better one. But if I'm just going to go off the rails a tad here, I would pair Gremlins 2 with Star Trek 5 because I hate you for bringing up Gremlins 2.
There's another good one that I didn't.
I think that
of.
you and I should meet in front of the Slatersville Mill and have a showdown. And the last man standing, Gremlins 2, will be honored forever. We'll get this on film. This is going to be a fight for the ages.
All right. I'm going to wait for Christian.
No, and this to go along with what you're saying, okay? Years ago, I had a great idea for a movie where a bunch of pissed off Batman fans from the Joel Schumacher
Oh God.
films.
Oh my God.
Nipples?
Were met with a bunch of John Grisham fans who were pissed off.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
And I called it "Bring Me the Head of Joel Schumacher."
I like that.
Okay, it's never going to happen.
No.
Somebody else there.
It should happen, but I will say I have a tolerance for bad movies. I actually tried to watch Batman and Robin again recently, and it was so much worse than I remembered. I can't even get through
It's
it.
up there with the Star Wars.
I thought of another
Holiday
cool
Yeah.
movie that would be good to pair with this. It's an independent film. It's kind of a rom-com. It's called Free Enterprise, and I think it would be cool to pair with this movie because Free Enterprise is a movie about two guys. I believe they're struggling writers in genre and stuff. They're writers, and one of them like idolizes William Shatner, and he has a problem in his love life, and they're like collectors, and they have a problem paying. He's a problem paying his bills because he spends his money on collectibles and stuff. It's been a long time since I've seen it, and William Shatner plays himself in the movie and like sort of acts as like the Jiminy Cricket to like the lead guy who's like sort of his life was all messed up, and he like meets him at a party at like an industry thing. I think that would be a cool movie to watch with this because it gives a lot of, it's like a love letter to Star Trek in a way and to nerds who go to conventions, and it just really kind of like brings. So I think that would be a cool movie to watch.
That'd be awesome.
With this.
And I know this is kind of off topic, but we're also here to discuss governmental issues here in the town of Weston. So all in favor for fixing the pothole situation on I-30 Street and between here to say aye. All in favor? I motion to get the pothole fixed.
Any other
my dream.
recommendations?
He said Free Enterprise,
Yep.
Chaos on the Bridge.
Oh,
Good double
we
bill
have one right
there.
here. Recommendation over here. Yeah.
I don't remember the name of that movie, so okay.
With my little non-knowledge on actual like films, I would do this with Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
The what?
The Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Shark Boy and Lava Girl. All right.
Nice.
Hey,
Nice.
not bad.
Action.
Robert Rodriguez, right? Yeah.
That is Robert Rodriguez, isn't it?
Yeah.
And cool. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And okay, so my recommendation. Oh my God, it's nowhere near as fun as all of these because I ground everything. If I have a comedy, I have to like ground it with something that's like a
I
serious
swear, if
drama.
it's Driving Miss Daisy,
It's not. No, but it is lost in translation because I.
Why?
Because they're both films about like.
No.
Yes, it's the theme of actors struggling with their legacy, and
Nathan, tell them which one you'd watch first.
and after their like
Is that
stars
the one?
faded.
Is that the one where like? Is it
It's
Bill Murray?
Bill Murray, and he's in.
And
he's
Scarlett
in
Johansson's like,
Tokyo.
I think you're really cool.
I love that film.
Well, they
I can't-
both
I can't-
have, you know,
I don't know.
like
I like
lobbies
I
and then
love
hotel
heartfelt indie
lobbies.
dramas,
That's
and
the thing,
it's.
have in
I think
common.
it's a nice juxtaposition to Galaxy Quest.
I can't.
In that case, just bring in Sunset Boulevard.
I thought about it.
How would I pair Galaxy Quest? Oh, Scarface.
I think this
would be
movie
a good-
goes. This movie goes really well with Jacob's Ladder. That's what I want to wish. Yeah, I think it's just the two of them. You know,
Galaxy Quest and Sophie's Choice. I think would be so good to just kind of different ends of the spectrum. I mean, they both have people facing a crux in their life. You know, they both have characters that are conflicted with what to do next. I think it would be really good. I think it would be a good night.
I like to bring myself down after I come here. Right? I'm a masochist.
Galaxy Quest and Powder. I think Powder would be another good one.
Hey, didn't this, somebody on this was working on
Get
Power.
some blue velvet.
Blue
Blue velvet.
Like Poseidon Adventure
Follow-
with Superman 4. Like, why?
Galaxy Quest and,
And
Human Centipede. I think. No, because I think if you're gonna do it,
I was thinking.
Stop talking
I
about
ain't go with like 100 Days of Sodom or whatever that, you know.
Oh God.
who would you recast as Mark Wahlberg in Human Centipede?
The middle?
All right. Hey, this is really important, all right? So the whole theme of our show is to make the decision if a film gets put into our vault or gets purged into the apocalypse. I think we need to make a decision.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
This
Vault, purge, or save, and
but
let's...
Is this main
we'll
cast
begin-
only, or do I?
And it has to be majority, but we're going to go through... The four of us have a vote. Brian, you get a vote, and the audience has their vote as well. We'll just do it by. We got a few members here.
And we have to definitely give a vote and a shout out to
4, 5, 6.
shout out to Ellie Escobar over there.
Ellie is
One of
here.
our original cast members.
So
I don't want to embarrass you or anything, but you have to vote. Yeah.
Purge or preserve. So we need 4 votes to preserve this film, which we'll begin. So Dan, you're our guest. What do you say?
Preserve.
Preserve. B.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that it needs to be saved. It's a good movie, but I don't just save Star Trek's another.
Speak from your
yeah,
heart.
I wouldn't save it. I'd purge. Yeah.
I mean, because if I'm around, it's gonna be that that patch I've had in the drawer for 15 years, and someone's gonna be like, "Hey, we're doing a Galaxy Quest thing," and I'll be like, "I needed that," So it's gonna come up in conversation sometime when the world's burning, and I'm gonna be like, "We should watch." Oh, I purged it.
That's why what you just said there is exactly why I want to salvage it.
Yeah,
because they'll be like, "Oh man, I wanted to watch that. All the nuclear waste out the window. I can't watch Galaxy. This sucks."
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be that thing where you're like kicking your like, "I threw that out." Oh, man. All I got is.
It had some funny scenes in it. Now it's gone. I'm sad.
All I got is Schindler's List. And I guess I'll pair that with Spaceballs. I don't know.
So we have 2 preserve, 1 purge. All right. I've seen this now 4 times, 3 times this week. I think I'm good for the rest of my
eternity?
life, the rest of eternity. It's a good movie, but like I said, it's not my jam necessarily. There's other parodies, there's other films that
you're cold,
I like a lot more than this.
We
You know
are
what?
Fallout
Our
shelter
vault
provided.
is reserved for the elite, the creme de la creme, like the great outdoors, Sam.
I was just gonna say the great
Oh,
outdoors.
I would. Yeah,
Didn't
great
make it into the
outdoors.
vault, so, yeah.
So good.
So
I hope Harry and the Hendersons is in there too.
I'm purging
That's
it
a good
because we're cutthroat.
Okay.
So we're
Should we go around the
Brian.
room?
Brian, but you got the mic. What do you say? This is important. We're down to the
Save it, Brian.
stakes here.
You're our only hope.
Put it in line vault or throw it out there in the wasteland. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, because I like the film, I've always liked the film, and it's never growing old with me, I say we preserve it because it works on so many levels. And once again, you don't get to see a parody film that doesn't take itself too seriously, but then throws in a good space adventure to move the plot along. And yes, you're right, it does have one-dimensional characters, but you got a 90-minute film. You got to take some shortcuts.
It's great, and
somewhere,
I think it has that. A good parody film. Think of the grandfathers. The forefathers of parody. The Abrams Zucker mentioned earlier. They took and played everything straight. They took dramatic actors and they told them not to screw around.
Yeah.
Deliver this, act this.
Yeah, just do 0 hour.
Play this straight. And I think this movie does that in a way.
We have
too.
one
I
more
think it
vote.
has that.
Brian, why don't you see if we can get our audience to? We need them to decide.
Right there.
The vote is here.
And it's everybody here has to. We need them to decide.
I know where you live.
There
Chris.
are better.
Unless you guys want to all huddle and convene.
There are better parodies. It's not a bad film,
Mm-hmm.
but and it's a good film. But I would say because you have limited
But
space.
you are you
No.
speaking for everybody here?
No.
We need
No, it's
everyone
just me.
here.
It's just I would say no.
Okay. All right.
Okay, we're purging.
All right. So we have the audience. We have one. We have a no for the audience.
I've probably seen this more than anybody else in this room, and it's absolutely going in my vault.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
Yes.
It's getting close.
Yeah, no. No. I don't even like Sigourney with the blonde hair.
You came after the movie, though. Did you watch it? Okay. Well, I'm holding you to task. I saw you
All
come in
right.
late.
It is close.
I wish we wouldn't beat around the bush. Do you like it or not?
Oh, speaking of Bush, Sam Rockwell played a great George Bush. Remember that?
I say preserve.
Yes.
All right. Chloe, this all comes down to you.
That's what she wanted.
This all comes down to you. Make a decision.
Chloe, if you preserve it, your parents will give you endless episodes of Bubble. What's it called?
Guppies.
We need you to speak. You speak for the entire audience here of the final episode of Back to the Frame Rate. This is like you are the final voice of what the last movie that gets put into our vault or not.
And this is what's like parented by me.
Yeah, I high stakes everything. Like you know,
high stakes
strap on,
High
feel
stakes.
the G's every single
Listen,
night.
you've heard me roast your dad all night. I'll keep doing it if you voted in. Just keep it. Keep it.
I love roasting him. Roasting him is like my
But make a decision on this film.
Well, it's a really good movie. The thing is that I feel like I haven't watched Star Trek, but I feel like it's like this. It's like another like version of Star Trek. So I never watched Star Trek, but I don't know if it's like something like close to it and they like not copied off of it, but
It's exactly what it is. Mm-hmm.
She gets it from me. This like
we
long-winded.
talk about movies 24/7.
That's awesome.
We've never had a conversation that doesn't bring up movies. Like, it's true. We've never had a conversation that you haven't been like brought up movies or something that you've watched.
When you get your permit, he's just gonna make you watch License to Drive.
I would say it's a good movie, so I would preserve it.
Yeah!
All right.
Yeah!
We are saving Galaxy Quest.
Nice. And you have a spot in my vault if they get rid of you for that decision. So
My existence is complete right now.
yes.
He has been saved. Well, there you have it.
By Grapthar's hammer or Grapthar.
Grapthar's hammer.
Yes.
Grapthar's hammer.
Okay. Well, I think that kind of wraps everything up.
This was so
You know,
fun.
This was a lot of fun.
Times.
Maybe we should do it again.
You know what?
No.
Let's do it tomorrow.
Never give up. Never surrender.
Okay.
That's
True.
Any last words as we close it out?
You shall be avenged.
I am still shocked by that death every time.
Yeah.
It's a good. Yeah.
It's a good death.
It's really good.
Yeah.
I would say never give up and always try your hardest, because if you don't when you're old and you didn't try, you'll be really disappointed in life. So you got to give it a good shot. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Is that the grandfather from Angus?
I don't know. I have no idea. Yeah. Screw up.
So
Wait, did you say the grandfather from
Angus?
I thought you were referencing another one. I was like, oh, I can't believe you referenced.
You don't know Angus?
No, I know Angus, but I thought you were mentioning another
we'll
movie.
talk.
Yeah,
We have to
yeah.
talk later because I think Nathan's trying to, scrape the ship against the side here.
If you ever get lost in life, you can always listen to this podcast again, because why go forward when you can go back to the frame rate?
Oh, wow. So just like end it there.
I'm crying a little bit.
I was gonna end it on this.
If you feel it.
But let's end it. All right. So that is the show, everyone. Back to the Frame Rate is part of the Weston Media Podcast Network. Thank you, Brian Ellsworth, for our show opening. On behalf of all of us, we bid you farewell from the fallout shelter. If you are enjoying this show, please subscribe so you can always listen to back catalog of our podcast. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform. You will always find all of our episodes on backtotheframerate.com. This is the end of our transmission. Back to the Frame Rate, signing off.
I want you to know it's over.
Well. Bye.
Bye.